Good evening. It's great to be with you guys. I appreciate you being here, and it is good to see you, especially if you're visiting. And you know what? Even if you're not visiting, I'm glad to see you too. So thanks for being here. There is an interesting word that's used here in what John just read for us. The last couple words that he read. Now, it depends on your version. It might look a little bit different, and you might have different ways of looking at this. The way the New American Standard reads in verse 13, the very last two words, practicing hospitality. And there's a little side note, a little marginal note in my Bible that says that's literally translated pursue hospitality. Some other versions might use words like given to hospitality or providing hospitality, showing hospitality, and or practicing hospitality. We're going to talk about hospitality tonight, in case you did not know, and just in case you missed Stuke's prayer as well. That is what we're going to look at, and we're going to think about what it means to pursue hospitality. And when you think of the word pursue, I don't know what comes to mind, but I don't think something that's just passive, that you let happen. It's something that you're actively looking to do. Like it's pursuing, it's an active pursuit, and we're going to look for ways that we can be hospitable. Now, this is really cool to me in a lot of ways because the Greek word that's translated pursue hospitality or given to hospitality actually appears in verse 14 as well. The same exact word, and I want you to read verse 14 to yourself and see if you can figure out which word in verse 14 is the same as pursue hospitality. You're looking through there. If you say that it's the word bless, you are wrong. It is not bless. The word in verse 14, that's the same word as pursue, is persecute. So the word that's translated, look out, bless those who persecute you, those who come after you, those who pursue you to do you harm. That word persecute is the same as the word in verse 13, pursue hospitality. So literally translated, that could say persecute hospitality, which gives you a very different flavor of that. Now, what I like to do, I want to look at this, and I want to consider this through the angle of, well, what would it be like to persecute? Now, in the first century, what was the persecution like? Well, it was real bad, wasn't it? Like, you didn't have people who were like, okay, I'm going to persecute Christians, but only when it's convenient for me. Like, I'm going to go throughout my daily life. I'm not going to, hunt them down or anything. That'd be crazy. But I'm just going to let them, when they come to me, and I know some people in my life are just going to say, hey, guess what? I'm a Christian. Could you please mistreat me? And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll mistreat you now. Is that how the persecution worked? Do you remember what Saul of Tarsus did? He got letters from the high priest so he could go and persecute people in different cities. He was like, I'm going to search out people that I can persecute. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. And I'm going to do this to the best of my abilities. And he was all about persecution. That is the type of mentality, that's the type of mindset we need to have with hospitality. Not to mistreat people, it's quite the opposite. But it's that just the goal of wanting to get out there and to show hospitality at any cost, making sure that we are we're persecuting, that we're going after it. You might even use the word chasing, because that's kind of what Saul was doing to Christians, right? He was chasing them around. We need to be chasing people with hospitality. Don't be weird about it, but we need to look for ways we can serve others and be hospitable. Now, when we think about this word hospitable, what does it mean to show hospitality? Well, we need to show kindness and love. That's part of it. That's part of what this is. And honestly, biblical hospitality wasn't something that was just this is convenient for me, and whenever I'm able to, I'll do this. It's really a mission that we've been given to be hospitable, to look for ways that we can do that in others. The definition, if you look up Bible definition of what hospitality is, literally translated, it means lover of strangers. Someone who loves strangers, someone who takes care of strangers and helps those who are already part of us. And we can look at that in very different ways. but we are opening our homes in some ways, in some instances, but we're also doing other things to help those as well. It's more than just having our friends over at our house. Like, we should do that, by the way. Have your friends over. Take care of them. Like, have a good time. That's great. But it's more than just that. Even in this group, are there people in this group that are here in this room with you right now that you would consider to be kind of a stranger because you don't know them that well, or you haven't been used to, spending time with them and that sort of thing? Well, if that's the case, we need to be pursuing opportunities, chasing opportunities to be open with them and to share with them. And especially those who we might look at as outsiders or newcomers or even just people who are in a category that's just generally overlooked. We'll get into some of that in a little while. But I do want to consider some examples in the Bible of what hospitality looked like and some people that showed hospitality so we can sort of get an idea of what this looks like. In the Old Testament, there's actually several examples of hospitality, of things that we see people being hospitable and seeing the command of being hospitable as well. So you think about in Genesis 18, Abraham has these 3 visitors, and he doesn't know who they are. And I'm going to spoil a little bit of the story here. They were angels, actually. They turned out to be angels. He didn't know that, though, and he took care of them. He brought them in. Sarah cooked some food. They like really put them up, and they really took care of what these guys needed. And they were strangers. They were appeared to Abraham anyway to be like travelers on a journey or something. And he was like, I need to take care of these people because they need food. They need a place to stay. And so Abraham was able to open up his home and bring them in and take care of them. I bet if he knew that they were angels, he would be even more so ready for that. But he didn't even know that. At first he thought they were normal people. And he was able to open his house, able to take them in and to take care of what they needed. That was really cool. And actually, in the very next chapter, in Genesis 19, there is another example of hospitality, that's the word, that was shown to some people as well. And it was Lot. Remember Lot? And do you remember the story of Lot, how he ended up in Sodom? And there was that situation where he had some visitors as well. And he took those visitors in, also happened to be angels, and they were messengers of God. And he provided protection for them. He provided a place to stay. Now, there was a lot in that story, that was not so good. And it wasn't great. And there's so many things we could talk about with that. But just keep in mind, he gave these people a place to stay. He gave them food and offered them protection from the very bad people in the city of Sodom. So there was hospitality shown there as well to people that these guys, they didn't know. They brought them in and took care of them. When people are traveling, sometimes they need someone to take care of them. And these people, Abraham and Lot at least, showed them hospitality. This was actually baked into the law of Moses as well. The Israelites, in Deuteronomy 10, verse 19, there's a statement made, and this is part of their law. So show your love for the alien, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. Now, depending on your version, you might not see alien and you'd be like, outer space? No, it's like sojourners or travelers, pilgrims, that kind of thing. And so what he's saying there is, you guys, Israelites, you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Like you were like pilgrims. That wasn't like your real home, but you were just kind of living there. And you know what it's like to be in that situation. So now that you are going into your land, into Canaan, what you have to do as a nation, as Israelites, is you need to be hospitable to those who are coming in. Like all the travelers, the people who are coming from various places. You need to show hospitality because hospitality was shown to you. And that's a big, big thing. We need to understand that. If we have been shown love, if we've been shown mercy, we've been shown forgiveness, we've been shown hospitality, we need to extend that and share that with others. Do you think that God in some ways has shown us hospitality? think on that. We're going to get back to that. The answer is yes, he did. But I'm gonna tell you why here in a second. But there's a lot of things that we should do here. I didn't put the verse up there, but there it is in case you missed it. Show your love for the alien because you were aliens in the land. There were times when we were not part of God's people. Everybody that's a Christian now can remember a time that you were not a Christian. That, like, being a Christian, becoming a Christian is a conscious decision that we make to put our faith and trust in God and to obey Him in becoming a Christian. And so when we do that, we're coming from a state of being like a wanderer in the world, that we don't really have a citizenship. We're living in the world. But then we're accepted into God's kingdom, and we're able to be part of that family. We're adopted into God's family. And so while we used to be strangers, now we're no longer strangers, and God brings us in. He did the same thing with Israel. He does the same thing with us. And I think we definitely see that in the New Testament as well. We mentioned Romans 12:13. That's the pursue hospitality, or give in or show hospitality, that sort of thing. And this is a mark of Christian love. The verses before that John also read for us showed us some things that we need to do as Christians. And this is how we show love. We need to outdo one another in how we serve each other. And there's a lot of practical tips of things that we can do there in Romans 12. But pursuing hospitality is a mark of Christian love. If we're not being hospitable, we're not fully living up to what it is to be a Christian. Because that's part of our goals, that's part of our responsibilities. The verse in Hebrews 13, verse 2, that might be familiar to a lot of you. This is the verse that says, there have been some that have entertained angels without knowing it. They entertain angels unawares. And there's a debate about, well, does that mean that we, like today, sometime we might run into angels and we can take care of them? I don't know, maybe, but at least we know of two examples of when someone has entertained angels and they didn't know it. And we looked at those in the Old Testament. Genesis 18, Abraham did it. Genesis 19, Lot did it. We see other examples of that. And when they were taking care of God's messengers and didn't even know it, you don't know the situation of the person that you're going to help. And so when you have an opportunity to be hospitable, to show some kindness in some way, you don't know their backstory, you don't know where they came from, and that don't matter. Actually, that's not important at all. What's important is that we do what the Lord wants us to do in that. Another verse about hospitality, 1 Peter 4:9. I think this is a really important one because it talks about our attitude of hospitality. Here's what 1 Peter 4:9 says. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. How hard is that? Now, sometimes, and I got to say, we get so focused on our own stuff, like our own life. I got to do my own stuff, and I have these deadlines, and I got to do this, and I got to make sure I do this. And so it's like, and we find out somebody else needs help, and it's like, another thing added to my schedule, and I got to go, and I'll help you. Like, do you really want help from someone like that? First of all, probably not. If we're grumbling and complaining because we're helping someone else, we're having the wrong attitude completely. We need to be hospitable, show that without complaining, without grumbling, that we are kind of like overjoyed, just being able to serve others in that way. And I think just our attitude and our mindset really make a difference there. That how we look at that and how we approach our brothers and sisters, it's very important. Did you know? And I know you did. I know you know this. Hospitality, given to hospitality, is one of the requirements of an elder. That's you know that. 1 Timothy 3 verse 2 and Titus 1 verse 8 talks about how an elder, the shepherd, needs to be given to hospitality. And you think of why that's important. Why would it be important for an elder to have that responsibility? And why is it important for a person who's in leadership to have that sort of mentality? Because you think about how shepherds are supposed to... what do shepherds take care of? Sheep. Sheep are dumb. I'm not saying you're all dumb. Just say, like, sheep have to be taken care of, and you got to see what's going on with the sheep. You got to notice what the needs of the sheep are. Sheep are different. Some are going to have some needs. Some are going to have other needs. And you got to be like really in tune. Like you got to have to check the pulse of the group and knowing what the group needs. And that's important for leadership. That's important for leaders to be able to be involved in that. And so that's why I think we have that as a qualification. Like in order to be an effective leader, you have to know the sheep that you're dealing with. And so that's a mark of what good leadership is. But it's not just the leaders who are responsible for that. We can't just be like, well, you know, I see my elders doing stuff. They like have people over and junk, so like I'm good. I'm part of a group that is hospitable. Is that good enough? Like, is it saying, okay, as long as I'm part of this group who I know there's some people that show hospitality, that we're good? It's really an everybody type thing. It's expected of all of us. And that's what being a Christian is. We can't just say, you know, as long as these select few people are hospitable, then, you know, as a group, we're okay. We have a personal responsibility to reach out to see what we can do to help people. And really, all of this, there's a level of sacrifice in this. There's a level of love, care, and concern. But there's also something about showing what God did for us as well. One thing that I will mention on hospitality at this point, being hospitable, not everything has to be perfect. You think about like when, and we talk about hospitality a lot as being something where I'm inviting people into my home. Is that a way to show hospitality? For sure. Like inviting people into your home, that is a way to show hospitality. That's not the only way, but that is a way. And sometimes we're like, my house just is not in good order. Like I need to do a little bit more of the house. I need to take care of stuff. I need, you know, the menu that I have for dinner is kind of lame. I only have 7 courses for dinner. I need at least 12. So, you know, and I don't even have, my fine china, like it's not good enough. I need to wait until I get some more stuff. Like that's not what hospitality is. It's not like putting on a show. I think sometimes we use the word hospitality the way that our culture uses hospitality. Did you know there's an entire industry called the hospitality industry? I mean, obviously, you know that. And what do a lot of like the major hotels and that sort of thing, like the 5-star hotels, if you go to those, it's like everything's immaculate. Everything's perfect. It's like you got the towels folded, and sometimes, maybe it's just cruise ships, but you know, they make the little animals. That's cruise ship. But they do things to make it like look impressive, and it's just like it takes your breath away. It's like, oh, this is so great. I had such a great experience. And then when we think about, okay, what about me? Can I show hospitality? I can't do that. That's my house don't look like that. No, and it's not going to, and that's not what it needs to be. You could say, hey, I'll make you a bologna sandwich. Come over. Or, you know, let's do nachos. I don't know, we make things low key. And so if your hospitality is inviting people over, that can be what that looks like. But again, and I'll say this right now, but I'll come back to this. That's not the only form of hospitality. Just inviting people into your home. That can be part of it, but there's so many more ways we can show hospitality, and we'll do that. But before I do that, let's think a little bit more about this. God's hospitality. The reason why we can be hospitable to others is because God first showed us hospitality. And you can see that in Ephesians 2. We'll look at those verses real quick. Ephesians 2, verses 12 and 13. Here's what Paul says. Remember that you were at that time separate from Christ, excluded from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. But now, in Christ Jesus, you who were formerly far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. So God welcomed us into his family, into his people, when we were far off, when we were strangers. There's the verse in Romans that says, when we were still sinners, that's when Christ died for us. And if you think about that, we were unworthy. It's like we hadn't done great things to, impress God so he could bring us in. No, we were actually actively against him when he died for us. And that level of love and the things that he did there, that is just amazing. And you think about Jesus, just his life in general. Think about some of the things that you see Jesus. What are some of the most memorable things you see Jesus doing other than like miracles and stuff? Which, by the way, miracles, yeah, that was a way to show hospitality. Taking care of the needs of people. You probably can't do that. But Jesus did that, and he showed that. But what else did he do? He ate with tax collectors, with sinners. He took care of some of those needs. He was able to welcome the children. He welcomed the poor. He welcomed those who other people didn't like at all. He had those conversations with a lot of people that were really kind of outcast of society. But Jesus cared about them, and he was reaching out for them even in his life. I think ultimately in the cross we see that because, again, like his love to us. While we were sinners, he died for us. That's the ultimate sign of love, of hospitality, ultimately. And when we open our lives to others, when we're able to do that, in a way, we are reenacting the gospel. Because it's like, God has done so much for me. He has provided a lot for me. He gave me everything I need spiritually. And so, really, the least I could do is to give back and to help other people with some of their physical needs and some of the things that are going on in their lives as well. God still welcomes sinners home. And we talk about that all the time with like the invitation is always open. God is always looking for more people to bring into his family. We need to be looking for more opportunities to reach out and be hospitable to others. Ultimately, we want to teach the gospel to people, that's for sure. But in a lot of ways, we take care of what people need. And that's important for every single one of us. Now, what if I'm not in the position to invite people over to my home? Like, I can't do that. For whatever reason, maybe I don't know. Just fill in the blank. You feel like you can't invite people into your home. Number one, you probably can. You could do something. But even if you can't, even if that's you, what can I do? Well, there's some hospitality that we can show even inside this building when we come here. If you think about this, every single person can open their heart to others. And we can find ways to actively pursue, actively chase hospitality even here. And you think about what you could do with this. Now, there's going to be several things I put up here. I'll tell you when I'm at the end of the slide, in case you want to take a picture or something. It might be hard to write all of them down. I'll get the list to you if you want it at some point. But arrive early and stay late. I know that's hard for some of us. But when we do that, when we're able to get here a little earlier, you're able to pay a little bit closer attention to the people that are here. Because sometimes we have visitors that pop in. And if you are late, you probably won't get a chance to interact with them. And sometimes people get out pretty quick, so there's no time to interact with who's there. So this is just one thing that you could do just to be aware of the people who are around you. That goes into this one, greet and notice visitors. You look around and it's like, I have not seen that face before. I need to talk to that person. Or I need to make sure that that person is approached. It's important to notice those things, that we can see people and make them feel welcome. Look out for those alone. This can go along with that. But if you notice somebody comes in, they're not sitting with anybody, they're not really with anyone else, then that's a good time. Hey, you can sit with us if you want. And you don't have to, by the way, you don't have to force them to do that. You don't have to be like, you're sitting with me. Like, that's not hospitable, that's hostility. We need to be careful with that. But at least offer them, hey, you want to sit with us. I don't want you to feel like you have to be alone, that sort of thing. Introducing people to others. And that's like, oh, so you're a plumber. Here's a plumber. I don't know. Does anybody I don't know. Electrician. There we go. Or, oh, you're in this line of work. I know this part. You should meet them. And so all of those things we can connect people with other people who know, show people around. That's something. Now, honestly, this building, it's not really hard to find the water fountain. It's right there. Or the bathrooms, but especially if someone comes in and you can tell they have kids that are like Bible class age. Hey, I'll show you where your class is. Or do they want to go down? You could show them that. And so just being nice, helpful with that. Follow up with guests, those who miss. If someone comes and you connect with them, you interact, it's a good idea to follow up. Or just people in general who are here normally, but they're not here for some reason. It's a hospitable thing to reach out and say, hey, I missed you. What's going on? Are you okay? Anything I can do for you? Help out with that. This, I'm not going to lie, I'm so bad at this. I am really, really bad. And I'm trying to get better. Remember names and details. When you meet somebody, I won't tell you who said this, but a certain wife of mine said that what she likes to do is sometimes she would even like get on the notes app on her phone, and when she meets someone, she'll put their name and then like a couple details about them so she can remember. And I just thought that was so cool. And that's like the most simple thing. Like anybody can do that, but I didn't think to do that. And it's just remembering the details, and especially if someone comes and visits again, and you're able to say, oh, hey, I remember you. How's that baby calf doing? Or whatever the situation is. So if you can remember those things, it helps a lot. That kind of goes along with listen well. Sometimes when we're talking, introducing ourselves and doing that, you might be a little distracted, but try to pay attention to what people are saying. It's be focused on the conversation. And make people feel like they belong. That's it for that slide if you want to get a picture of that. But make people feel like they belong. So if you think about it, have you ever felt like you don't belong somewhere? That it's just like I'm here, I'm like in the group, I'm kind of part of the group, but I just don't feel like this sense of belonging. Maybe nobody's really talked to me that much. Maybe I just don't feel connected. We can help with that. We can look out for people who aren't connected, and we could try to connect them, make them feel like they belong. I'll have a little bit more about that as well. What about acts of service, things that we can do for each other? Well, we can bring food to people, and there's people who need food in different situations all the time, people like sick, hospitals, and we've talked about this quite a bit. But it can also be not just bringing food, but inviting people out to places. Maybe you can't invite them to your home, but you can go to a restaurant somewhere and just enjoy that time. Or, hey, I just want to get some coffee with you, or that sort of thing. And again, not just like our friends, not just like I have a certain clique that I'm with all the time. Yeah, you can spend time with friends. That's cool. But we also need to make sure we're reaching out to others as well, so that nobody feels left out. We need to make sure we're connecting with as many as we can. Maybe, there, that one is. Offer transportation. Maybe somebody needs a ride. You know someone who has car problems. They can't get around much, or for whatever reason they need to get somewhere. Hey, I'm going there. I can take you there. Or hey, you want to go to this study? Yeah, I'll help with that. Help with practical needs. People need practical things sometimes. Babysitting, mowing the lawn, running errands, picking stuff up, whatever the case is. We all have different needs at times, so just being in tune with that. And by the way, I'll say that on this one. How many times do we? I feel I might have said this recently. I can't remember. But how many times do we say things like, "Well, if you need anything, let me know." How many times do you actually say, hey, I need something now? That's typically not what happens. So just think of things that could be helpful for someone and just show up and do it. Bring the food, or come in, hey, I'll do your laundry. I'm going to mow for you, whatever. Just try to be thoughtful about that. Sharing tools, books, clothes, whatever that someone needs. You hear someone talking about something, I'll share that with you. Volunteer to serve. Greeting, I'm going to get here. I want to make sure everybody feels welcome. I'm going to sign up for teaching, for helping with the class, whatever. Send cards or texts of encouragement. This is one thing that really stands out. that if you can be in the habit of sending out cards, there's just something about getting a card from somebody, knowing that they were thinking about you. Like, that is cool. And some of the best things that can happen is when someone sends a card or even text or message or whatever. That is really good. And praying for others by name. That's all on this slide as well, if you want to get that one. But making sure that we're praying for others by name and we are letting them know, hey, I prayed for you. Or if someone says, hey, can you pray for me about this? One thing that's really helpful to do is to pray for that person right there. Like, just to say, okay, you matter to me. I want to make sure that you know that I'm hearing you and I want to help in this situation. So I'm going to sit here and I'll pray with you right now. It just shows that connection. And then follow up with the person. Hey, I've been praying for you about this. How's this going? You know, what's going on in your life now? So that's a way to show that. Just in general, being inclusive in how we act, how we interact. Welcome the overlooked. And there's a lot that might fall in this category. Maybe, and it's different for different people. Maybe the group to you that's overlooked is the youth. Maybe I don't pay attention to the young people at all. Maybe it's the older people. Maybe it's the widows. Maybe it's the singles or the new converts or just someone in that realm. So people really need to feel seen. They need that. So it's just so encouraging to feel invisible. I've talked to people who have said, like, I've been going to this church. I've been worshiping with this group of people for like 3 months, and nobody said anything to me. And do you know how discouraging that is? Just to like be somewhere and no one's saying anything to you, and it's like I don't even exist. It's like I'm invisible. You've probably felt like that in some place. There have been places where I visited that it's just like it didn't really matter that I got in, and it's not like I got in, got out, and ran. Like, you can't catch me. But it was like nobody said anything. It was like, do I exist? Just imagine experiencing that every single time you come, and especially if you come to a place multiple times, and that happens. Like, we need to feel like we belong. And we need to make sure that we're including people, making sure that they're not in that category. There's a lot of situations and cases where this happens, and I'll share this story as well. There was a time where I'm not going to tell you all the details, but Meredith interacted with this person in the past, and so she gave her a hug. She saw her out in public somewhere, and just gave her a hug and said, "Hi, good to see you," and that sort of thing. And later on, that person told her, she was like crying and like that just made me feel so good that you acknowledged that I'm here and that you said hi and that you were able to do that. It was just like, sometimes I just feel invisible. And that sort of, it wasn't here. That sort of thing just really stands out to you. You know, it's like if you go to a place and you feel invisible, that's tough. Part of our interaction with each other, we also celebrate others' joys and burdens. In the Romans 12 passage, just a couple verses down from where we read, it says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep." And that's part of our hospitality too. Like, we need to be happy for each other when good things happen. And we also need to be sad with each other when things are difficult and help them bear those burdens. For those who can't attend, visit them, be with them. Invite people to what you're already doing. Maybe this probably wouldn't work for everybody, but if it's like, hey, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go running, or I'm going to go work out, maybe it would be mean if I asked you to join. But, maybe that's something that other people want to get involved in, or maybe there's a study, or maybe there's just some kind of activity that you're doing. Maybe you can host or organize a group activity. It could be in your home, it can be out of your home, and even if you're not able to take care of it, maybe you could just get the organizational details. It can be a Bible study. It can be a game night. It could, whatever, just ways to get people together and that sort of thing. And the last thing on this slide, speak warmly. You are not going to help people feel welcome if you have a really grumpy voice when you talk to them. It's like, I'm so glad you're here. Are you? I don't think you are. When you're talking to someone, and this is just, interpersonal communication 101. When we're talking to people, it's good. Eye contact, that helps. Make sure that they know that you're in the conversation, that you're actively listening, that you're being genuine with them, and that you are hearing what they're saying, and that you're communicating back. And that's not just here. You think about all the interactions that you have in your life. How does that look with cashiers? Well, when you go to a place that actually has a cashier, you're not just like self-checkout. But like when you're interacting with people, like in the community like that, or like a waiter or waitress or host or whatever, sometimes it's really easy just to get so upset at just the whole situation, and then we're just kind of short with people. What would it be like if we were like actually warm and friendly and inviting in those conversations? I think that can help a lot. Chatting with your neighbor at the mailbox, just those sorts of things. Just making sure that we are reaching out there. Now, remember, the word was pursue. We're pursuing hospitality. All these things, there's just various aspects of how we can be hospitable. I think there are things that we can do to try and on purpose chase after these things. And I want to offer some closing thoughts. There's this spirit of hospitality that I think we need. Remember the 1 Peter 4:9 passage that we said a minute ago, show hospitality to one another without grumbling. We want to show people that we're actually happy that we can do something, that we can serve them, that it's a delight, it's not a duty. And ultimately it flows from the gratitude that we have for what God has done for us, that we can do that. Our hearts are full of grace, and so it helps us to reach out to others as well. So maybe if it helps, maybe we could call it stranger chasing. Don't be weird. No. Like, if you think about it, though, hospitality, we're looking for opportunities. And there are times, by the way, that you might come on a little strong for a visitor. Like, we're really excited to welcome people. Some people don't respond well to that. You got to be able to read the situation and know, is this helpful to them, or am I scaring them away? I can be intense, and I can scare people away. I understand that about myself. If you ever see that, by the way, if you see me and I'm just like talking to someone and I'm just like all excited, and you can tell their body language is like, please rescue them from me. Like, you can rescue the visitor. Like, come and be like, oh, hey, I'll talk to this person, or hey, Jason, can you go talk to, find a way to make that work. We want people to feel like they're invited, that they're welcome, and we want them to feel seen, like they're part of the family. And we want that type of embracing atmosphere. And that's really the kind of community that draws people in and displays Jesus. So what I would say is look for someone to show hospitality to. This week, that's our challenge. Find a way to be hospitable to someone. Choose someone. Choose one of the things that we looked at. Make up something else. Figure out a way to show hospitality to someone else, and be intentional about it. I want you to just really think about it. Think about who I'm going to be hospitable to, and how am I going to pursue that opportunity. What am I going to do to look at that and be helpful? 1 John 4:19 says that we love because he first loved us. And I think the same is true about us when we're welcoming others. We welcome others because he first welcomed us. He brought us in and he showed us love, and so we need to do the same for others as well. Because ultimately, when we pursue hospitality, we're acting like Jesus did. Jesus pursued hospitality. That's what he has designed this for us to do as well. So the question is, are we pursuing hospitality? Am I showing that warm, welcoming kind of attitude to others? Am I living like Christ lived? Am I reaching out to others? And listen, it's hard to do that all the time. It's hard to be mindful of that. And this is just a friendly, casual reminder that we all need to be involved in that. I need it. I need this more in my life. And hopefully that you can take this and it helps you as well. Now, I don't think that it's much of a jump to go from what we've been talking about to the invitation that Jesus offers us, because ultimately that is the ultimate form of hospitality. Like we said before, Jesus, he knows that we're sinners and that he died for us in order to forgive us, that we can have a relationship with him. So if you find yourself right now, you're in a situation that you know you're not serving the Lord, that you need to turn over your life to him, then we're ready to help you do that. And whatever that looks like for you, if that's becoming a Christian and putting him on in baptism, if it's you are a Christian and you just need to recommit, to confess sin, whatever you need, we need to make sure we take care of that. We need to come back to the Lord. So if there's anything you need to do, please come forward as we stand and sing.